Be live in 3, 2, 1.
Alright, so we got a Zelda 2 100% all keys run coming up. Let's see, the bid gave us Jeff. So, that's gonna be the name for this run. Jeff. My name is Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
So, we're gonna start here, and it's basically 2 seconds after I press, or closer to 3 seconds after I press start at first movement. So, we're about to start right... Start.
Cool. Good luck.
Alright, and so the first thing we do in this run, this is the most popular category of Zelda 2. The first thing we do in this run is try and get a 50 P-bag drop. This 50 P-bag drop will hopefully give us a good amount of XP, and I'll explain why in a bit. And what I'm trying to do is do this at a frame perfect, basically. Oh, and we got it. So there's a certain pattern we go through the Magic Cave at in the dark. All the enemies and stuff like that you can barely see at the very bottom of the screen. It's just a little bit of a wobble of pixels. That 50 P-bag, if you do it at the right time and the right frames and everything like that, it'll hopefully be about an 85% chance for you to get that P-bag. It's not 100% chance, because there is always there's an RNG chance in this game for basically everything in the game. So, otherwise it is fairly accurate. So we got the 50 P-bag. Next thing we're doing here is getting the shield spell. We're going to be getting all the spells, all the items, hopefully as quickly as possible. So this is in Parappa the Rappa Desert, you use this magic to survive, which is shield. And then we're gonna go on to an encounter skip next. This game has lots of overworld manipulations. So this is a very unique Zelda game, which has experience as well as encounters and stuff that can happen in the overworld. So I paused on that pixel, and then the general strategy that works is if you're on a tile, you can go up and to the left or up and to the right, and you will not get an encounter. As long as it's not a fairy encounter. Fairy encounters are completely different and random. So what I'm trying to set up is bubble skip here, which there's a forced encounter tile that I'm trying to skip. And I got it. And you'll see it on the way back. It's a lot quicker just to get an overworld encounter there, which you'll see in a minute. Alright, so this is the only Zelda game that actually has experience points, which I'll explain more in once I get to Alice 1 here. So this is the encounter that we skipped. Has lots of bubbles, and we try and not get hit by them. And as you can see, it takes a lot longer. It takes a lot longer to be able to go through that encounter. Alright, so this is Palace 1, the first palace of the game. This is actually one of the harder things to get through when you're learning the speedrun and everything like that, because just basically you want to get through this palace without getting hit, or basically without getting hit. But also these bots here, and they tried to troll me and hit me, but they did not. They will take a full bar of health, which you see at the very top, and I'm going to try and not die, of course. And their movement, sometimes they'll jump, sometimes they'll walk off like that. It's completely random. And they are set up in spots later in the run that I'll show you. They can actually one-shot you, and they'll knock you in the lava, which is really fun. Alright, so the experience in this game, we wanted to get that 50 experience bag there, and we're hoping to get one 200 experience bag. On every 6th enemy, there's a small enemy group and a large enemy group. On every 6th enemy, you have a chance for getting either a magic jar or a experience point bag. We want to get experience points bags in the beginning of the game, but then later we want to get magic jars. So I'm actually skipping these two Stalfoses to set up an experience, or one of those drops off of a Stalfos, which is 30 experience points. And instead of a Gooma like coming up, which is 50 experience points. So it nets me a small gain of 20 experience points. So this is the Goomas. Want to get an attack here. And the reason for that is basically once I place the gym in this palace, you'll get however much experience you need for the next level up. So what I'm trying to do is get attack 3 as well as 50 more experience points before I get to the boss of Palace 1. And then that way at the end of the palace it'll give me 900 or so experience points to be able to get attack 4. And we try and abuse that as much as possible during this run. And there is a donation goal. As long as it's met by the end of this run, I am the world record holder in Barbie Supermodel. And I'll be doing a Barbie Supermodel run if that donation goal is met. Ah, see? The bots wanted to jump there. I was trying to do a little bit faster strategy where you just jump up those blocks. But those bots, those little blue slimes, wanted to just jump straight at me. So I couldn't make it up quickly. And I lost my beam sword because of it. This game is infamous for being one of the harder Zelda games. Most people don't beat it without save states. It is very punishing if you do game over in this game. It's similar to Dark Souls, I want to say. Basically, you would lose all your experience points and start at the very beginning of the game. So there's no campfires like there is in Dark Souls, but you get to keep all your levels, at least. So you can almost say this is the Dark Souls of the Zelda franchise. Alright, so this is our first chance for a drop, and we get our red jar, which we do not want. We want a 200 point bag. So we have one more chance of that. Otherwise, this is going to be an attack 3 run, which we do not want. Alright, so here's our next chance at the 200 point bag. Hopefully get it. And it's a red jar. So bad RNG. I was hoping that would not happen during this run. So this is the first boss, Horsehead, which to lure him back, just keep on attacking. He's only vulnerable if you hit his ears. And sometimes he'll walk back and swing his hammer, which he was doing there, and he'll actually end up hitting me. Alright, so this gem's only going to give me about 80 experience points, unfortunately. So this next portion of the run, gonna be getting a little bit of collections here, and making my way to Death Mountain. So since this is a marathon run, I'll be a little bit more cautious than I would doing like a PB attempt at attack 3. Alright, so what we're doing here is going to the trophy cave. And this cave, we're going to be collecting the trophy to get the jump spell, which is needed to go on to the next area. Another bit of RNG there. Those gorillas. Those gorillas basically, they'll throw a boomerang that's low, high, or over your head. They can be quite troublesome. The red jars are actually, they're beneficial later in the run because they'll actually give you full magic. These spells that I'm going to be using and everything like that, they use a little bit of a magic jar. Use a little bit of a magic bar up top. So those red jars are actually beneficial later in the run when you're using more magic, because they'll actually fill up your magic points. Alright, so this is the lady that lost her trophy. I'm betting she was a tennis champion. Or it could be the old man here who was a champion high jumper, since he was giving you the jump spell. And then we're gonna walk out of this town. This town has a good amount of walking in it, so. And this overworld area, I'm gonna hopefully get no encounters, but we'll have to end up seeing after this cave. There's lots of combat in this game that it's very specific patterns that you want to do. Alright, and that gorilla treated me nicely. That gorilla can actually throw over the head boomerang, and it's very hard to block. Alright, so this is why the jump spell is required, because you'd not be able to make that jump normally to get through there without the jump spell. Alright, so I'm hoping to get no encounters here. We got a swamp encounter. I'm going to be skipping these levels here, because what I want is attack 4 next. Alright, so here we get talk to Bagoo. Not gonna let you see what he says because it's a little bit slow. The text in this game is a little bit slow, which you'll see here in a moment. But as long as you know Bagoo, you get a free pass in the whole entire world of Hyrule. Ah, messing up here. Alright, so this town will finally get the life spell, which will allow me the safety of refilling my life bar a little bit. Otherwise, I would have to cast the shield spell, which just increases my defense a little bit. So there's a mirror underneath this table. This lady wanted to find her lost mirror. Why is it in this abandoned shack underneath the table? Who knows? Alright, so we're going to be getting a life spell. Don't really like my time here, but deal with it. Alright, so we're gonna actually talk to this magic lady here to make sure we get full magic. And we're gonna actually use a life spell so we're at full life as well. And here's where we will see how slow the text scrolls. Can't skip on this. So, this guy, you know Bagoo? I can help you cross. So he builds a whole entire bridge just because you know Bagoo. You know, if you know Bagoo, the world of Hyrule just helps you. Bagoo's such a nice guy, you know? So this part is Death Mountain. This is if you're doing a normal casual playthrough. The bot's already trolling me. If you're doing a normal playthrough and everything like that, it's aptly named Death Mountain, as well as learning the speedrun. You could, there's a certain path you could take here. And this is a very deadly area to go through. Lots of enemies can do lots of damage to you very quickly. As well as one of the most troublesome enemies in the game, the red Dyras. And this coming up is the orange Dyra. He just swings an axe and everything like that. He has a specific pattern that you can go through. But you'll see the red Dyra here in a moment. The red Dyras throw axes and do lots of damage to you. Ah. Yeah, I was trying to dodge those bots while I was attacking them, so... Alright, so 2 health bars down, and then there's this Bulugaria, which can be quite troublesome. We're gonna cast life here. And these are the bits, the counterpart to the bots. The bots will jump, the bits will not. We're actually hoping for a P-Bag there, which is a 200 P-Bag, which is very nice since I'm very low on experience. Ah, shoot. I'm hoping these bots won't troll me. I get a red jar here to get another life cast. And we're making our way to get the hammer. So I'm actually going to lure this red Dyra here back a little bit. Alright, so we finally have attack 4. These little jumping cats. If I had beam sword and everything like that, it'd be taking care of them a little bit easier. But as you can see, since I didn't get attack 4 out of Palace 1, I'm basically skipping all the levels in order to get attack as quickly as possible. Because I'm lacking 900 experience points, so I need to kill a little bit more enemies. Hope for those 200 P-Bags to drop. Don't mind that red jar. Alright, so there's the hammer, which allows you to break boulders, as well as chop down trees. Because that's the way you chop down trees, you hit them really hard with a hammer, right? Beam sword back. Now those Mews, you're normally not supposed to be able to kill them without the down stab ability, but you can actually attack right bottom of your jump, and it actually damages them and gets your sword strike just low enough to hit them. Alright, so magic jar here. Again, this is the 100% all keys category. Glitches. Magic jars in order to beat the game, all the hard containers. I'm gonna duck in these caves. And this to basically walk that world and risk getting an encounter. Alright, so we're now gonna start making our way to get the medicine jar. Dying. It's always nice. Shouldn't be lagging on the NES. Give me a second. Safety. Yeah, no drop frames on my end. Yes, I apologize for the lag. Before we get an encounter on this tile, which sets up the boulder dance. This encounter manipulation right here would be on the same tile. So there's actually 2 different counters or timers for this game. So getting an encounter on that specific tile, allowing for a double spawn and an easy walk. And again, sorry about the technical difficulties there. A little bit of problems with the...
If you're not dropping frames on your end, it looks like it might be on our end. That
Yeah, I just checked mine.
for sure.
That's RNG portions. Is probably the best sword technique in the game. Allows us to do up to 30 attacks, as long as I can but you should be able. It also allows us to easily skip some enemies by just bouncing on their head. The parry spell allows animations for items. Yeah, but I do play on the original hardware. Hooked up to a CR. Game should be played. The Nintendo Entertainment System. Wow, that's just bad RNG. The Nintendo Entertainment System. The emulators do the right frame rate for the chips of the original Nintendo emulator. That's right here. I just picked up the heart while casting Fairy, which allows me to skip the animation there.
Hey man, I'm sorry to do this, but do you split second and lower your bitrate a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Cool, I appreciate it. And could you let me know what you were at?
What was it? 3,000. I'm gonna change it to
Alright, go.
Alright, so we should have a lower bit right here. Alright, yeah, it should be a lot better. This is Palace 2. Pick up the glove item here. We're still having a little bit of lag. Nah, installation and everything.
If it keeps continuing to do this, the next thing we could try a different stream. Keep this one.
Alright.
If we do so, when you do, so I'll switch it over.
Think for that, so.
Yeah, for sure. I'll give it about another minute, and I'll let you know if you should switch over.
Alright.
And this won't affect your time or anything.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm coming up on an area that is one of the troll areas where I could possibly die here. I'm very careful. These bots here in the next room, they could jump at me and knock me into the lava here. So this is like the real boss of the game, is the bots in these areas. Yeah, be extra careful. Luckily, they don't want to troll me too much. That one tried to. I didn't let it. This is a red jar. Let me get that'll allow me to get a full life. There's a guaranteed red jar drop. I'm gonna go and get as well, just for safety and everything. Alright, so normally I'd cast Fairy on this glove, but since I'm low on experience and it's a marathon, I'll just save the magic for life cast if needed. Difficulties with the RDMP server. So I do apologize.
Alright, let's go ahead and switch to the pause your game, switch to stream 2, and tell me when it's up again.
Okay.
1 second, please. Alright, go ahead and resume.
So hopefully this fixes the technical difficulties. Even in GDQ, if you watched SGDQ, you saw some difficulty. Mario Relay, Super Mario Brothers 2, hello, Zelda was actually Mario 2 completely glitched out because the cart wasn't seated properly, and he was able to have a really good time and he knows the game and everything like that. Playing the game glitched out like that, but technical difficulties do happen. Alright, so the glove item there in Palace 2 allows you to blocks, which you just saw me in that previous room. So this is one that you have to get even in the 80% run. And since I keep on getting red jars, I'm gonna have to kill most of the enemies in Palace 2, which is actually a big time loss. Which is why I want to get attack 4 coming out of Palace 1, because it allows you to skip most of these enemies, but I'm actually have to kill them. Alright, so that boss, he has 3 heads, and you knock off the first 2, and then he reveals he's Darth Vader. He's Anakin Skywalker underneath, with that white head right there. His other heads are breathing apparatuses and fake heads, you know. Alright, so we're gonna hopefully get out of this. Not too many encounters. We're already getting the first one. So this area of the game, RNG, you want to get as little encounters as possible. No one's really good manipulation of getting out of the swamp without getting encountered. A few different strategies and stuff. None of them are as guaranteed as some of the other walks. Hop in King's Tomb to this little hole right here, which allows us to free. So this is where fairy is required. The 80% run will actually just pick up the jump spell and the fairy spell, and that's it. We get a red jar. Nope. Ended up getting a red iron knuckle and getting hit there, which is not good. you'd be getting, and or life 3 in this so I do need to kill a little bit more enemies in Palace 3 as well to try and catch up on experience out to where if you got attack 4 coming out of Palace 1, you would go ahead and have the same experience points and same levels. Palace 3 is actually one of the palaces I missed the jump, so that's actually a pixel. But this is the only palace that has an outside area. Alright. Let's just a little bit more. Kill a few more enemies. So this is another area where the bots can actually Red Knuckle wanted to do the RNG pattern of throwing a quick sword out there. So this is another area where these bots can actually, you are too quick and everything like that, make your jumps. Alright, so I'll actually use the fairy cat raft here. Alright, so that's what we call the jackhammer, which is basically when you're going over that enemy, you're actually able to get inside of his hitbox while using the down tab ability just and be able to do lots of attacks very quickly. So work of a enemy that would otherwise be very hard to deal with and very blue iron knuckles. I want to get 400 experience points before we make it to the boss. We might actually have to kill a few more enemies.
Man, let's try this one more time. If you could drop your bitrate down to 1000 even.
Okay.
Our charts are saying that it's a solid connection, but it's dropping like spiking repetitively. So let's try to just put the load down if we can.
Okay. Alright, put it down to 1000.
I appreciate it.
Luckily, this is an old school retro game, so we can lower the bitrate a whole lot. And you still get okay quality.
Cross my fingers, but I think we should be good. Thanks for your cooperation, man. Sorry about that.
Alright, so that should be good. So, looks like we finally fixed the lag issue, so apologies again for that. Alright, and so what I'm going to do here for this boss Rebo is actually sit on a very specific pixel, and then hopefully it's right, and we just basically allow, if Rebo wants to cooperate, which he doesn't want to, of course. Usually he would stay in the corner, but, you know, RNG being what it is, he wanted to walk out of the corner and not cooperate. This is where you see like a big amount of experience that I'm getting here, since I met I got just over the mark to be able to get the next level up here. So you've seen this tick up a lot for me to get attack 7 here. And you'll see why exactly I want attack 8 once I finish Palace 5. Palace 5 is where you'll see a large amount of XP that I'll be using for lots of other level ups. Alright, so this is basically a little bit of a collection area of the game, and it has a big RNG overworld walk. So the next thing I'm going to do is pick up the fire spell, and we have what's known as the fire rant. Usually whenever this game's running up and like that, so I'll do the fire rant here for everyone. So basically, this spell is probably the least used spell in the game. You don't even have to pick it up at all. It's the fire spell, which allows you to shoot fireballs from your sword, which go across the screen instead of your beam sword. This woman here just wants a drink of water. It takes Link 12 steps to get to the water fountain, hand it to her, and get the spell. This lady doesn't want to walk, like 20 feet in order to get her own drink of water. So it's quite possibly one of the laziest NPCs in video gaming history. That makes you want to basically walk next door to get a glass of water for her. Alright, so we're going to actually exit this town to the right, because most towns you can exit to the left faster, but this town is actually faster to go to the right for exit. Alright, so this area right here is a very large area that we're going to hopefully not get any encounters with, which, if I walked up, I would have gotten an encounter. So this is bad RNG. That's what's called the random walk RNG, where if you get the right encounters, they just want to not cooperate to the normal patterns and keep on walking to the right there, so I'll end up getting an encounter. Normally you'd walk up there, but if I walked up or down or anything like that, I would have gotten an encounter. And you kind of just start recognizing some of the patterns and stuff from playing the game so much. But also, if I walked up, I would have gone straight into the encounter, which normally encounters don't want to do that. So I just picked up the kid there, casted Fairy so I didn't have to pick him up, pull him over my head. This child was kidnapped by the Lestalfos, brought into the Labyrinth, which is also a movie called Labyrinth, where Goblin King kidnaps a child. Alright, so this walk is called the Dazzle. If it cooperates, I should not get any encounter. It's not wanted. And that's my mistake, I didn't press up on the right tile. It requires lots of very specific movement in this game. What I was doing is just pause buffering to make sure I get an encounter on this forced tile, because there's actually forced encounters here. I'm trying to skip the overworld encounters. Got that. So I'm actually using the pause button and pausing the overworld just to make sure that the encounters are going into my encounter tile or the forced encounter tile. Alright, so we're going to do a little graphical glitch here. Got Smurflink. If you cast a magic spell and talk to the magic lady there, it freezes you. Alright, so this is one of the things that I actually found within the past couple years. It's called Fairy Paws. It allows you to cast Fairy and go down that chimney. The old strategy, you'd have to cast the jump spell and do a pixel perfect, near frame perfect jump to get to the top of that roof. And This is very difficult to do. But if you're holding the down button, it allows you to keep the downward input, which you need to actually go down the chimney. And it keeps that in memory while you're in fairy form. You're actually able to just cast fairy and go straight down. So this next thing here, this is where I'm returning the child. This child was kidnapped again, and for returning the child, I'm rewarded the Reflect spell, which will be used for Palace 4. The boss of the palace is Karok. Karok is a large RNG fight that can take anywhere from 10-ish seconds to 40 seconds. Unfortunately, there's no way to really speed up the fight without doing tasks. The tool-assisted run. I didn't get it. That time. We'll hopefully get the encounter skip on this one as well. Got it. Alright, so this walk is complete RNG, depending on how many encounters I get walking back to the maze here, which won't right away. Not a good sign. Fairy encounter, I'll take it. Fairy encounter is basically a half encounter, but... Alright, so we're back in the maze. This maze has 2 pathways you could take. I'm taking the long path because there's no forced encounter tiles. If you take the short path, there's tons of forced encounter tiles. So the only forced encounter tiles that, well, there are 2 that I'm going to be taking. One has the magic jar, which is this right here. And the next one is just a normal forced encounter tile, which will be the only one in this whole entire path. So it actually saves time walking the longer path in this maze. And of course, this path has more bots. Glorious bots of RNG, this game. Alright, so here we come to Palace 4. The other thing I picked up was upstab ability, which you'll see here on this MOA. Unless he blinked, might not have seen it. There's not that many times you'll probably see me use upstab, which is just that right there. So we're gonna queue up the jump spell. So normally this palace would have tons of death abuses, but I'm not going to be taking these death abuses for marathon safety, just so I have extra lives and stuff. I'll try and do a deathless run for you guys. But that requires RNG to cooperate, so I might take 1 death abuse. Just go ahead and kill him, just because it's easier to deal with. So I actually take life 4 in this palace. That'll be the only level up that I do take. And the jump ability in this area just allows me to easily go around this area, and I get a red jar, which is very nice, so that means I would have to take a death abuse on this side of the palace. So that's the main bit of RNG that I actually wanted to see if I can get you guys a deathless run going. And one thing, while I'm waiting for the experience points to tick before I exit the screen, go on the next one, if the experience points didn't start ticking, I would actually that enemy would respawn there in that point, and they're hard to deal with usually on those areas when you're coming back. What? I don't know, I'll talk to you later. Alright, sorry about that. Alright, so these Wizrobes here, you can actually only kill them by casting a Reflect spell, but they teleport around. You just want to block their beams and go walk around them. You can just ignore them in this palace. They are worth 100 experience points, so if you are wanting experience points in like a casual playthrough and everything like that, they're actually pretty good for that. Messed up in the stair building there a little bit. Covered. Alright, so the item in this palace allows me to walk on water, but only the very specific water tiles, which are not able to be seen really in any way other than trial and error. There's no visual cue for them or anything like that. It's on the right side of the palace, and then we go to the left side of the palace here to Karok. We're just gonna collect a few more keys here, and then we'll be on our way to the boss. Jump one more time. And then if I get a red jar coming up, this will actually be... This will actually be a deathless run, hopefully. Hopefully. If I get a red jar coming up on the statue. Otherwise, I do have to take a death abuse. Just attacking my health bar there in the HUD, you know, casually. Oh! Alright, so we're gonna take a death abuse. Taking a lava bath. Still have plenty of lives, though. So there we go. My name is Jeff, as you just saw. Alright, so coming up, Karok is actually the hardest boss in the game. You know, that's why you can take like this really short amount of time or really long amount of time, so that's why he's the hardest boss in the game, in my opinion. Because there, you know, if he takes too long, honestly, it can ruin a run. Which is an unfortunate thing. So hopefully we have a good Karok fight. I'm gonna cast a shield ability, just to make sure. Cast Reflect, so I can reflect back his beams. Alright, here we go. So we're just gonna sit here in the corner, reflect back the beams. Very, very difficult strategy here. This is actually the fastest way, as well as the safest way to fight this boss, believe it or not. This actually is not a good Karok. So the best RNG pattern you can have, you reflect 8 beams, and then 8 beams the Kakarot gets hit by. As you can see, that was a lot more than 8. And why not? Let's try for Eco Key. So Eco Key is a thing I'm going to try here. It's really risky on marathons, especially. It can save me like 12 seconds if I do it correctly. It's a very specific damage booster which requires very precise timing on a very specific pixel that I stop on. If I don't get it, I have to get a little bit more experience points, and it'll end up eating a little bit more time than it should. I'm gonna try for it here for you guys. And I missed it, of course. So we're gonna use the fairy spell to get up here. And we have to walk back to get this key. So if I did that correctly, I would have been able to damage boost up off that skull bubble. And actually bounce up there, which you'd normally not be able to do. So I'm gonna have to get a little bit more experience points here and kill a Mago. Hopefully they cooperate. Magos weren't that bad today. So basically, just that 200 experience points and everything like that allows me to be able to fill up my magic jar there, get magic 4, which I was going to normally get. This has been a little bit earlier in the palace. This is the block room. I didn't even press down there. Game. As you can see, sometimes that key doesn't want to cooperate. You get a ghost key, because your sword wasn't in the hitbox of the key long enough. Actually hoping for a red jar there, but I didn't get it. Alright, so the item we're going to pick up when we're making our way to, this palace is actually, if you don't do the correct path, there's lots of dead ends in this palace. I'm going left on the elevators, right on some. I'm going straight to the item, and then going to head straight to the boss while I'm picking up all the keys of the palace. There's actually a false wall here, which is hinted at by one of the NPCs in the game. You just kind of have to start jumping in walls if you're trying to figure out this game blind and everything. On all the dead ends, just figure out which one is actually the one you want to go through. This palace can be very dangerous because these Magos sometimes like to teleport right in front of you and shoot a fireball, and then the next one will actually teleport right in front of that one. And it's basically like an impossible area to where you're gonna get hit. There's the jackhammer again, making quick work of the blue iron knuckles. And that Mago tried to teleport right there in the elevator. Luckily it teleported just late enough to where it didn't get hit. Alright, so this next area, right after I skip these through 3 blue Stalfos here, we call it the swag key. If I'm able to pull it off, I'll bounce off the key, hit the wall, and not hit this container here, but I, of course, messed it up because marathon. Saves a few frames, but there's lots of little combat techniques that you'll see in the game that actually save like a few frames, but those frames do add up over the course of, you know, like an hour, 20 minutes or so. There's actually a red jar back there, but I ended up not picking it up, so I'll just pick up the next one. Now I'm regretting it a little bit. It's fine. It's fine. I got plenty of extra lives. Alright, so the boss of this palace, normally in this palace in like a casual playthrough or something like that, you have a lot higher life, which allows you to take a lot more hits on the boss. But since this is a speed run and we got attack 8 as quickly as possible, we're gonna try and defeat this boss without taking much damage at all. You can take very few hits, and I'm at such a low life that I want to try and do Goomba hitless at this point, or get a red jar drop off one of these iron knuckles here. You always break the blocks in the tune of the music here in that room. It's a Zelda II tradition. Alright, not sure where my 6 count is. Hopefully it's on this guy right here. It is not. Okay. So we're gonna cast a shield spell and hopefully not get hit. I'm gonna see how much damage Goomba does probably here. It could be very risky. As you can see, can't take that many hits, but I was able to quickly dispatch him without getting hit too much. I was playing a little bit safe there. Alright, so, as you can see, this is going to give me tons of experience. It's going to give me 9,000 to play with. So I'm going to be using that here in a little bit. Hopefully I don't soft lock. I'm going to be trying to do a river dance here, which is a series of walks to set up an encounter skip. The first fence that's coming up here after the River Devil. So I'm doing this very specific walk that takes an extra step. Hopefully the overworld cooperates with me and I get it. So the overworld didn't want to cooperate with me in that last one. So I'm actually using that 9,000 experience to get Magic 6 and Life 6. 4 levels. So that's why we abuse the attack there. But here's the fence encounters that if that cooperated with me, I'd be able to skip this encounter and not walk through it. These next 2 I'll actually use the fairy spell to get through. Just take damage along the way. You can take damage, it's fine. I'll pick up a heart container soon, so I'm not really worried about my health too much. So hopefully this overworld walk goes well, which I didn't want to there at the end. And I actually wanted that 6 count to be in this next cave, but... So this is basically the 1 of 2 times you'll probably see me use the fire spell. Maybe twice. So, to kill those Tektites there. They're only vulnerable to fire. So you do have to use that fire ability. There's a pixel perfect attack you could do with upstab on them if you're underneath them. But that is very hard to do, especially when they're jumping around and moving and everything like that, so... So I'll talk to this magic lady here. Let's go and cast life once, just in case. And we're going to be picking up the spell, spelled S-P-E-L-L. You know, it's the one spell that you could have guessed the name, the spell. And this old man tells you to remember the magic word, which is spell. So this allows us to erect a giant object, a giant phallic object at the end of the town. And we'll get just the magic key, the master key that can open up all doors, which we'll need for Palace 6. And the last thing we're going to do is pick up a magic jar on our way out. Which will actually refill our magic as well. So the reason why we talked to the magic lady there is so we can actually just ferry both those items and cast spell, which saves a little bit of time over not talking to her and just picking up the items. Then that's the last magic container, which is required. And the next thing we're going to be picking up is the last heart container before Palace 6. Yeah, the NES games, they like to have blinking screens. You know, they like to blink a lot. There's one game, it's called Ghoul School, that has some of the worst, like, epilepsy warning blinking and I've ever seen. But lots of the NES era just kind of liked its blinking for some reason. Alright, so that's a slink. That's what I did there is just paused on a specific tile and got through the encounter, but I ended up getting the next one there. Alright, so this is the last heart container. Flashed even more than usual? That's not good. Alright, so here's Palace 6. The boss of this palace is Barba. In other games and everything like that, other Zelda franchise games, you might recognize the boss as Volvagia. For some reason in this game they want to call it Barba. And these Wibs Robes not wanting to cooperate. Alright, so we're gonna do a damage boost here. And of course the damage boost didn't want to cooperate, so we're gonna fall back through here. It's a very rare thing that damage boost does not cooperate. So it's a risky strat to kind of do. But I went ahead and did it anyways, and of course it failed there. So basically if you go over that Iron Knuckle and it throws the low beam, the low sword, chances are you're not going to get the damage boost. Get over there. So that's a huge time loss, as you saw, that you just have to... I got that manipulation though. for you guys. Again, I'm trying for fast strats, you know? Alright, so there's actually an invisible pit there that I just jumped over. We call it the Canadian hole. Some Canadians, they kept on falling down the hole. And for some reason, Canadian runners actually fall down the hole more than any other nationality. So they actually got the name of themselves the Canadian hole. So on there's actually maps and stuff like that for learning the game and the palaces through the maps. That hole actually has the Canadian flag on it as well. So, shout outs to Canada. I'm hoping for a red jar off the statue here. And we got it, nice. I wanted to make sure to grab it and then cast Fairy immediately before my magic started filling back up. So that'll actually allow me to cast the spell here, and I'll show you its other usage besides erecting giant pillars. I'm getting hit. These whiz robes are just... It's another RNG factor of this game. Alright, so the spell, you know I told you the bots are the worst enemy in the game? The spell turns enemies into bots. Which, I'll be using here. Get through this area a little bit quicker and more easily. So instead of killing those flying horse heads called the Raws, I just am able to cast a spell and go straight through there since I got the red jar. So magic is very tight in this palace, the usage of it, because you do have to cast Fairy twice. This area, even in tasks, tool-assisted runs, they've tried to actually cross this area using downstab and bouncing off the skull bubbles, but there's been no successful... no one's been able to successfully do it, even on task level. So Fairy is required there, as well as getting to the final boss, Barba. Alright, so here you see another return of Rebo. Come back, horsey, come back! Oh. Alright, so this is the other usage of Fairy that's required. And then I should have enough magic to cast Jump. Or Barba. Alright, so there's the safe Barba 1 cycle. You can actually jump on top of them and just use the jackhammer technique and spam that down stab, like that, and then kill him a little bit quicker and stuff like that, but I just didn't want to, I wanted to make sure it didn't fall into the lava through his hitbox or fall off the horse, as one might say. Alright, so that's the last gym we're going to place. We're going to be making our way to the final pass of the game, GP, Great Palace, the Grand Palace. But first we have to walk through Valley of Death. So I'm actually only going to be picking up Magic 7 here, which it's 500 experience points to get Magic 8. So I'm going to be getting a very specific amount of experience through Valley of Death. And that purple Mo I just killed, the item I picked up at Palace 6 was the cross. I would not be able to see that enemy without that cross. Just the purple Mo's and blue Mo's. Alright, so I'm going to play it a little bit risky and not ferry over these bridges. Hopefully not get hit as well. Ah, I got hit. Okay, so I lost my beam sword, which I actually wanted to try and keep for Valley of Death. We won't be using beam sword strats. Alright, so this is a counter skip that we want to try and get, which we got. So this area is Valley of Death. We walk through a whole bunch of lava areas. These MOAs have a pattern that will sit there and troll you, as well as those red-eyed guys that as you can see, I messed up there a little bit. I had to cast Fairy to be able to get through. Trying to do a little bit faster strats and everything like that, but risk death going through this whole entire area. Luckily I have lots of experience in this game and I was able to avoid death there. Again, I'm trying to get 5,900 experience points here. Max. We call that enemy Max. There's a speedrunner of Zelda 2. His name's Scorpion Max. Been playing for a very long time. So that Scorpion has sometimes good RNG. I'm fine. Sometimes he has bad RNG. He shot fireballs, so that's bad RNG. Max was not kind today. Alright, so I'm actually skipping that blue Listalfos and killing this red one. So this gives me 5,940 experience points for Great Palace, Grand Palace here. So this is the last palace of the game. Again, there is a donation goal, which, if met, I will play a Barbie supermodel after this and speedrun it for you guys. Actually gonna cast Fairy to go over here, so I don't have to deal with that spicy chicken. There's an invisible pit right there that you can fall down. I have plenty of extra lives, so I'm just not too worried about my life or anything like that, but there's a $50 goal, donation goal, so make sure you guys get those donations, and if you want to see Barbie Supermodel for the Super Nintendo played after this. Lots of high fashion photo shoots. Will Barbie become a supermodel? Find out if we meet the donation goal of $50. Goes through a good cause. Oh, you... Okay, good. Started cooperating. Killed that enemy. So what I'm trying to do is actually get Magic 8 right before the penultimate boss of the game, this palace, Thunderbird. Hopefully I'm able to do it. I don't have enough... Oh, I do have enough Magic Cast Fairy here. So, be able to skip this spicy chicken as well. I'm gonna hope for a red jar drop here. If not, I'll farm it. Alright, so that should be the last enemy I kill, except for a Mew. I'm hoping for a red jar, which we did get. Nice. Oh. Don't knock me into the wall. This enemy here is, we call it Scott Bakula, because you have to take these quantum leaps in order to not get hit. by Scott Bakula. So we'll kill that enemy. Let's see, I need 30 more experience points, so. There's one more blue bird knight that I'll have to deal with. And this palace is actually very hard hitting if you get hit and everything like that. This bird knight does not want to jump over me. There he goes. But I am kind of making it look a little bit trivial here. But normally it's not this easy looking. Let's go and cast Fairy here again. Just get past this spicy chicken. I'm actually kill these Raws here. Kill one of them. We fall down this hole. Look out, Kingbot! And then we'll kill this one Mew here, which will give us Magic 8. So this allows us a full magic refill, which, as well as Magic 8, so we can cast all the spells and everything for Thunderbird here coming up. Thunderbird, you have to cast Thunder in order for him to be damaged here. So I'm actually casting Shield, Jump, and Reflect to help me with his boss. Ooh, getting hit. Not good. Alright, so time will stop once my movement stops after this next boss. Which is Shadow Link, the final boss of the game. As some of you may know, there is an easier strategy to this boss. Otherwise, he is very hard to deal. I'll go and cast Fire here, even though I'm at such low life. So once this boss is defeated and my movement stops on the screen, I'll call time. And time.
Sweet, man.
Alright, so there's this...
Even on top of the technical difficulties that we were experiencing, you still got underestimate with a 122.36.
Yep. So, thank you guys all for watching, and make sure you guys donate more for the Trevor Project. It's a very good cause. You know, one of the only suicide hotlines and stuff like that for the LGBT community. It's really important. So, at the end here, you save Zelda, wake her up using the power of the Triforce. It's actually a decent run. We had the technical difficulties and stuff like that, and they did safety strats, but... And here's the awkward hug between Zelda and Link. And thank you guys for watching.